What is going on, everyone? This is the Fantasy Aces podcast. I'm your host, Joe Bevilacqua, and with me we got Mike Hendel, Nate Holleran, and Sonny Chowdhury. I really feel like I'm supposed to be presenting to you guys the new iPhone with that intro music, but no, we have a fantasy podcast to talk about. So topics today we got are fantasy takeaways and the waiver wire. We're also going to be doing a new topic called fantasy panic attacks, if we should be panicking on this player heading into the remainder of the regular season games or not. And then we're also going to do the best and worst schedule for fantasy players from week 11 to 13. And if we have time, we'll do some Discord mailbag questions. Any fantasy questions to the viewers out there that need some help. But let's just leave it off to you guys. Nate, how was your Sunday? How was your football Sunday?
Why you gotta ask me that question? It was horrible. We lost to the Giants. Yeah, it was horrible. There's no other way to put it. It was just so bad. It
was a weird weekend, and especially with all the monsoon games, with all that terrible weather. It was a weird week of football.
But, Houston and Cleveland. Oh
I know. What a low-scoring affair. Like that was actually interesting. I did not expect that. Mike, how was your football Sunday?
Pretty good. I mean, it's interesting you bring up Cleveland, like back-to-back low-scoring outings against their defense. Like, is their defense legit or is it just the weather? Because I know Myles Garrett's legit, but the rest of it, it's like, well, is it just because of the weather? I don't know. Because the Cleveland defense is facing some very juicy opponents coming up down the stretch.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. And now they're in tight competition with the Ravens because the Ravens lost, which is kind of interesting. Cleveland and the Ravens.
That game, I mean, I could see very little points being scored. Those defenses are playing off the chain.
Do you think Lamar Jackson could have came back and won that game if he could actually see 2 feet in front of him at the end? Because it was an absolute monsoon at that last minute.
That was unfortunate.
And I'm thinking, hey, if it was better weather, would have been a different outcome of the game. But, that's football. You got to deal with it.
You could also plan on it and then use it to your advantage. So
That's true. They are good at running the ball, so I'm surprised they still lost that game.
I mean, are they?
I mean, with Lamar, let me rephrase that. But he hasn't even been running it that much, and that's literally the problem. Their offense has been really, just not doing anything right now. They've just been kind of freezing. But Sonny, how was your Sunday? I mean, you probably had the best Sunday out of all.
I mean, if you couldn't tell, Hail Murray. I mean, if you didn't see that play, I don't know what you were watching, but I mean, Hopkins once again reminding everyone he's the top 2 receiver in the league, and he's not 2. Thankful for Bill O'Brien for giving us Hopkins. Thankful for Kyler Murray. And I mean, the bandwagon's filling up quick, so hop on before it's too late.
Yeah, about 30, 40 seconds before Hopkins, this obviously is like the best. Diggs was like, hey, wait, I'm the best receiver in the NFL. And then it turned very quickly.
Did you hear the commentary on the game when there was like Diggs has been like the best receiver in the league?
Well, he leads the league in everything except touchdowns.
Yeah, and then it's just like Hopkins like, wait a minute, hold my beer. And then just make the play of the year. I mean, no debate. What a game, what an ending. And now we got Seattle and Arizona on Thursday night. So
that's true.
I mean, there's a gift that keeps on giving.
Was that more Kyler Murray or DeAndre Hopkins? Because in my mind, Kyler Murray
equal.
I do think that throw was very underrated because that placement was perfect. But I got to give it to Hopkins. I mean, triple coverage. It looked like Calvin Johnson out there.
That was equal because I don't know how many quarterbacks make that throw having to roll out across the way. Aaron Rodgers and then who else? And then how many receivers make that catch? Nobody.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's time that Kyler enters the MVP combo because after Russell Wilson last weekend, I mean, I don't know.
Last 2 weekends.
Seahawks are making me nervous. Something else that I want to mention with the bet that's going on. So right now, DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. Right now, DJ Moore is leading in standard, and Robbie Anderson is slowly losing his lead in PPR.
Which means that he is leading in PPR.
By 2 ranks, and then DJ Moore is leading by 8 position ranks.
We'll see how it goes. I'm still pretty confident in it.
Do you guys know your
catching up.
bet? Is it standard or PPR? Because it's basically
didn't-
over if it's
We
standard.
didn't. I feel like it's a tie if they tie.
Should
Like,
we
if
meet
one-
in the middle? Should we meet in the middle and go with half PPR?
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
I
would-
feel like it's a tie if one is PPR and one is standard, and then if right, like
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, you guys should have specified that because it's a huge difference if it's
we
standard.
meet in the middle and half PPR because I don't even know what would the rankings look like. We can worry about that when we get there.
Yeah,
But, I mean,
but
that's a
it's-
good.
it gives the loser an out too if it's happening.
Exactly. You got your way out. So we'll go with half PPR at the end. We'll look at that. I mean, we got plenty of time. Still plenty of football left.
That's true.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. News around the league. Christian McCaffrey could be missing even more time. So, who are you going to start? I mean, Mike Davis is a little banged up. Curtis Samuel is a little bit banged up. I believe the running back's name is Smith, Rodney Smith. I believe he's on the Panthers right now. He might get a little cut in the running back action, so we'll see. Tyler Lockett dealing with a knee sprain going into Thursday Night Football, so you got to watch out for that. Make sure if he's starting or not. If not, or if he is, just make sure to have him in the flex spot just in case something goes wrong. Drew Brees and Drew Lock both suffered rib injuries. And now you're going to be seeing, different quarterback action for the Saints. And then Nick Boyle suffered a major knee injury and is out for the year. And let's be thankful that was the only major injury in that game because it was pretty nasty outside. And I'm thinking like someone's going to get a really bad injury when it got really bad towards the end. But be thankful it's just Nick Boyle who suffered it. And then Dolphins cut Jordan Howard as a healthy scratch. And Salvin Ahmad is a rising running back in the backfield right now. And Andy Dolan has cleared concussion protocol. Not conclusive if he will start yet, but it's definitely something to look out for. So we're going to get into our fantasy takeaways and our waiver wire for Week 11. Let's start it off with Sonny. I believe the position you're doing is running backs. Am I right?
I'm actually doing the wide receivers.
Wide receivers.
Yeah,
Come on,
so
Joe.
I mean, the first guy is the guy that we talked about last week. I mean, it's Jacoby Myers. I mean, the dude has been insane. He's reliable. He's consistent. I mean, he's all that Cam looks to. It's either Jacoby Myers or insert Patriots running back here. I mean, over the past 3 weeks, he's had a 40% target share. He's had 58 or more yards in the last 4 games. And then we saw him blow up a few weeks ago. And then last Sunday night, he had a touchdown pass. I mean, Mike, you said it. He's the new Julian Edelman. And I mean, we've always felt good about inserting Julian Edelman in our lineups. And then even with N'Keal Harry coming back, he got 0 targets. So, I mean, he's here to stay. And I think he's almost in that must-start territory. The next guy that I want to talk about was Michael Pittman. I mean, we all saw him blow up. And I mean, this is a common thing with rookies. It often takes rookies the second half for them to finally explode. I mean, we're seeing Jerry Jeudy doing that. And then we saw Justin Jefferson have that amazing game. Yeah. I mean, it just takes rookies. We get a shortened offseason, and then he's getting healthy. And I mean, there's no other reliable receiver in that offense. So I mean, Rivers got to throw to someone. I think Pittman, I mean, the Colts were high on him. I was high on him. And I think he's finally starting to break out. So he should be someone reliable. And his next matchup, I mean, if Jair Alexander doesn't play, I think Green Bay is a great matchup. Then he's got Tennessee, Houston, your Raiders, Mike, and then Houston, and then tough one with Pittsburgh. I mean, he's got a great schedule. He looks like the number 1 option in Indianapolis. So I definitely think he's worth a pickup. And then next one is Jalen Reagor. I mean, Travis Fulgham, I know it's a disappointing performance, but he's actually leading the team in targets the last 2 weeks. I mean, I'd still have Fulgham ranked above Reagor, but I think it's a Philly offense that's going to be throwing a lot. I mean, Reagor, they for some reason took over Justin Jefferson. I mean, I don't know why, but I mean, they were obviously high on him. So he's got breakaway speed, and I think it's only a matter of time before he starts establishing a larger role in that offense. And then, I mean, those are the 3 main guys, but some speculative ads, I'd say Allen Lazard, I think is really interesting. I mean, I don't know if you guys know that Marquez Scandling was the number 1 receiver this week in fantasy, but I mean, I'm not touching him at all. Like, I mean, he can stay on the waivers because I don't know how you can feel comfortable starting him in your lineup. I would much rather add Allen Lazard. keep him on my bench. And then another guy you might want to look at is Laviska Shenault. I mean, these rookies, I wouldn't feel comfortable starting him yet. I mean, he's getting healthier. He might be able to play this week, but he's someone that can also take that second half leap. So there's some guys to keep an eye on.
I have some questions. I want to pick your brain on two guys.
Yeah.
Dolphins, Jakeem Grant, with as Parker's stock goes down, Preston Williams on IR.
Yeah.
Like he's looking like, especially with a young quarterback who's probably been throwing to him a lot in practice and on the scout team, their chemistry is probably pretty good. What do you think about Grant? And then I have another one for you after that.
I mean, so after the three guys that I mentioned, he's probably I would feel okay starting him after those guys just because first off, he's a Madden cheat code. I don't know if you guys ever use him in Madden. I mean, his speed is unreal.
Yep.
But I did want to talk about him. I mean, if you're desperate, I mean, you can throw him in a pinch, but I mean, he's nowhere near the top of my list at all.
And then what if Lockett is out, right?
Yeah.
Then David Moore, is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So he's got to be high on the list if Lockett's out, right? Like at the top almost.
I completely agree. He would be near the top of my list for sure. I would definitely. I mean, I think he could go off. You have to understand your risk, but I think he offers the most upside out of anyone. But you also have to be able to take that. You know, like what if he does get a 0? Because they added that other receiver coming in too and establishing a role. So I mean, I do think in a shootout, the highest scoring matchup of the weekend. I mean, I love taking the risk. So yeah, I have Lockett and I might pick up David Moore. But from what I've heard, it's a minor injury, so I fully expect Lockett to play.
Yeah, I mean, in my dynasty team, I have both receivers, and there are some weeks where David Moore is outscoring Lockett, and I kind of regret not putting him because in the league you get bench points, so I kind of regret not having him in my bench spot. But David Moore is outperforming at a good rate for the wide receiver 3, so it's not a bad idea to probably add him. And then all those other guys you listed, like those are great dynasty talents. I've been trying to trade for Michael Pittman Jr. I've been trying to get him. I just think he is great talent, and I think he needs a better quarterback at the helm to, fully show what he's got. But those are great players to add. We're going to go with Nate with running backs for the waiver wire.
Yes. So with this upcoming week, we know how bad the NFC East is, but there's still a team. We all know how bad, Zeke is struggling. It's definitely not a year for him. So I'm going with the backup, Tony Pollard. I like Tony Pollard. I shouldn't like Tony Pollard, but I like him more than Zeke. He's been playing better than Zeke, in my opinion. He still remains the elite handcuff who could be a huge league winner if Zeke is forced to miss any time, because I know he's still dealing with a little injury. That's been bugging him. But to get it really going, the guy that plays for Miami, Ahmed, how great he had that game week 10, running all over the field. It doesn't matter. They don't need Jordan Howard, who they just released. That's a shame. Matt Breida and Myles Gaskin, who I was actually high on. And he rolled himself out to a 90-yard day. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good for somebody they just threw in there at running back. So, and I'm going to move on to Hines. So you guys remember how I was so high on Jonathan Taylor. At least I had confidence in him. And everyone was like, I don't know. I'm not too sure about that. Well, I tried. I dropped him. I can't. He's really struggling to find his role in Indianapolis. I thought he'd get that going week 10. So Hines been taking control. He's been scored a whopping 4 times across the last 3 games, and the Indianapolis Colts' schedule it's like a beautiful lineup for him. So getting that going, that could be great for him. And then I had one more waiver wire, but I can't do it because I have lost total faith on him. It was gonna. Well, I didn't lose faith in him, but his injury, he was still owned. It was Mike Davis. It was a week ago. He was still owned, but now that McCaffrey has missed time, there's definitely people that have dropped him. They don't need him, but now that McCaffrey again has missed time, he could still be available for people who need him again. And the person
disappointing. He was quite disappointing against the Bucs.
Yeah, he was.
I have to say so myself.
He was quite disappointing, but not as disappointing as Devin Singletary. So,
but you expect that. I did not expect Mike Davis to
Well, here's the thing too. I didn't expect in the beginning of the year for Devin Singletary to be this bad. I didn't expect him to be like a top 10 running back, but I didn't expect him to be this bad. So I mean, if he's available, avoid him. That's just a fair warning to everybody. If you really don't know who Devin Singletary is by this point in time, so that would be mine. But I have one fantasy takeaway that I have to throw out there and congratulate to just an amazing effort on the field and what he's gone through. Alex Smith, how well he played against the Detroit Lions this past week. Attempted 11 passes over 10 yards on the field, completed 8 for 148 yards, 3 big time throws, completed 10 passes over 10. I'm just so happy to see somebody that had a life-threatening injury, a really bad leg injury, to come back out of nowhere and really, even though he lost, people usually say there's such thing as a good loss, but that was a good loss, I thought, for Alex Smith. That was a good loss. So that's going to be my picks for this week.
Nate, one more thing. What about Kalen Ballage? I didn't hear you mention him. What do you think about him?
Yeah, I looked at his stats, and he's on the Chargers, if I'm not misunderstood. Yep. He is, with the other running backs missing time. I mean, and Austin Eckler is dealing with, I know, hamstring injuries. I know there's some speculation when he comes back, he could get the starting role. But with his production, he's still available out there. That's a great point you brought up. I totally agree. Take him. He's definitely getting the roles over there in LA. I know that, again, if Austin Eckler comes back, there could be less time for him, as Austin Eckler is their main guy. But Balash has just been playing outstanding. He's been running down the field. He's good. He's not like the burst guy, but he gets going. His acceleration's good.
Yeah,
he's a very good runner.
Yeah, you just got to sometimes take the opportunity over talent. I mean, he got all the touches last week, and now he has a revenge game against the Jets this week. I mean, who knows?
Oh yeah, no, that's exciting. That's a great point you brought up. I agree, Balaj. Definitely a running back too if you need him.
All right, Mike, give us your tight end waiver wire pickups.
Yeah, all right. I'll go quickly here. Jordan Reid, he's owned in 23% of leagues. In week 10, he 5 catches, 62 yards. It's an offense that focuses on the tight end. So it's just a good player in a good spot. Say what you want about the rest of the offense, but Kyle Shanahan, tight ends should be all right. Logan Thomas, 30% of leagues. He's got 10 plus points in 3 of the last 4 games. So he's just super consistent right now. It's hard to beat that. And then Dalton Schultz has 7 plus targets in back-to-back weeks. And then if Dalton comes back, that should probably continue. Those are some guys. The Dalton Schultz, Logan Thomas, Jordan Reid.
What about Taysom Hill in ESPN leagues? What if he's tight end eligible? What are you gonna do with him? He better be at the top of your list, right?
Taysom Hill?
Yeah.
Tight end eligible because he might play quarterback.
He could be the starting quarterback, and I mean, I'm picking him up and I'm putting him at my tight end if I have to.
That would be pretty funny, though.
Honestly, I'd rather have Taysom Hill at quarterback and Jameis Winston on the bench still. After seeing his,
I don't know about that.
I don't know. After seeing Jameis Winston's pregame workout, I don't know. That was really bad. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that was pretty bad.
Taysom Hill had the same amount of carries as Kamara last week, so
that's crazy. Well, that leads to my cornerbacks for the waiver wire. I'm starting off. He's playing the Falcons twice in his next 3 games. That's just kind of absurd not to start him. But I just saw recent news. AJ Tyrell got voted the best rookie cornerback, which I'm really excited about. He got the best grade for a rookie cornerback, so he's doing a great job. It's our other corner that's awful. That's how bad our other corner is. Just putting that out there. That's where all the passing yards are coming. But listen, he's not owned in many leagues. I think Jameis Winston could come in against, playing the Falcons twice. It's probably going to be a shootout. I think he's a good quarterback to have for these next 3 weeks coming up. If you want to be risky and he's clearing protocol, go Andy Dalton. If it's a deep league and you need a quarterback, he's facing the Vikings and the Redskins in his next 2 matchups. I think there's upside potential. Mike McCarthy said, this is in all my years of coaching, this is probably the best backup quarterback that I've had on my team. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to do Andy Dalton if you want to be risky. And I'm going even deeper because Sam Darnold is still out. Go Joe Flacco. He threw for 3 touchdowns against the Patriots in 2 previous weeks. Why not? He's facing a tough defense in week 11 and 12, but later on in the season, more near the playoff weeks, Raiders, Seahawks, Rams, all bad passing defenses as a whole. Listen, they're going to be down by so much. Why not just put Joe Flacco in? He might get a couple touchdowns. That's only if you're really in really deep, trouble with quarterback play. But I'm going, be risky, and it might pay out. So those are
risky.
Week of the backups.
Huh?
It's a week of the backups, I guess.
It is a week of the backups, but that's what they have.
You mentioned the Rams defense, and what did they do to Russell Wilson? Like, they made him look.
They ate him up.
Yeah. So is that a trend? Because they play Tom Brady next. So, what do you do there?
That was a competitive game. And then when they face the Rams, that's not going to be competitive. They're going to be down by 20 points, I feel like, by halftime. And then there's going to be trash points. I'm mostly pointing towards Joe Flacco as a trash point type of quarterback that will get a couple touchdowns in the fourth quarter just to,
besides Joe Flacco, just in general, what do you do against, when your guy plays the Rams? If people have Tom Brady, are they going to start Tom Brady against the Rams, who destroyed the MVP candidate?
After last week, 5 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you.
Yeah, but Russell Wilson does that every week, and he couldn't do it. So
the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, you guys think? The Seattle's line has got to be significantly worse than the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
This is the first week they were all finally gelling together. AB looked great. Gronk, Godwin, Evans, all getting healthier.
So you'd be confident starting Brady against the Rams, even after what they did to
Russell
Wilson?
I would.
Oh my! I don't know. I'd be so nervous. Not gonna lie.
I'm not going to make this decision.
But I will say I do love Winston. I love Winston as an option. If we get confirmation that he's a starter, I think you could definitely roll him out. And I feel great about Winston. But it depends. What's your pivot option? What would it be?
Herbert.
Oh, I would take Herbert. if you have Justin Herbert and Tom, okay. No,
that's my gosh, that's not even a discussion.
Justin Herbert all the way.
But you can you really bench Tom Brady after he scores 41 points?
If he versus the Rams that just
that's what I'm saying.
MVP can't. It's a logistic argument to the point where it's I don't know. Should I bench Tom Brady, the 6-time Super Bowl winner who just had a fantastic game, or should I play rookie Justin Herbert, who had his worst game? Who had his worst game, but he's playing against the Jets. It's a huge. This is game time decision. So I don't know.
Well, okay. First, the way I see it, I can see Tom Brady going off, or I can see it being a long day with the Rams defense. I know for a fact that Herbert is going to torch that defense one way or another. So I'd go with Herbert all the way. It's Adam Gase. They want the number 1 pick.
All right.
That's a decent point.
We'll see. But for our second topic today, we're going to do Fantasy Panic Attack. Is it time to panic on these guys going into last week's fantasy regular season or not? We're going to start off with Nate. Nate, give me one guy that you have that you're panicked about or not panicked about.
I'm going to panic, and this is just because I looked at his schedule and I look at his team, and it's they're a good trash team. It's weird, but I respect them. It's the Falcons. And it's going to be Julio Jones. I'm a little worried about Julio Jones. I'm going to hit the panic button just because I look at the schedule. He's versing New Orleans, Vegas, the Las Vegas Raiders, New Orleans again, the Chargers, and Tampa Bay. And their defense has been stout all season. I know, we're talking about Drew Brees could be missing some time, but we're not talking about their offense, we're talking about their defense. And they all put up against a fight. I know Julio Jones can be talked about as the best receiver in football, but there's been other receivers that have been doing a lot better than Julio Jones this season, despite Julio Jones' injury. So I'm going to worry. And one quick.
Nate, I want to make a bet with you. All right, I think Julio Jones is going to get over 15 points against the Saints this week.
15 points? What? 15 points?
Hey, if you say panicking would be under that, wouldn't it?
No, you're right. You're right. I would do well. I mean, Julio should be doing like 20 points. That should be his average, but he's doing a lot lower than that. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna agree on
So
that.
would you
I'm
do
gonna agree.
15?
Yeah, I would do.
You're
I'll
gonna
do
go the
15.
lower? All right, I'm gonna
I'm
go the
15.
upper.
15.
PPR, right?
I'll do
We got to specify right now. PPR.
Yeah, we'll do PPR 15
Yeah, we'll do
points.
PPR. 15.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
That's me and Nate's first bet. I'm saying he's going over.
I love it. I love it. Mike, you see that? They're learning.
I'm
I hope.
disagreeing with
No,
this.
listen.
disagreeing with this.
I hope I'm wrong because he's on my team. But I'm just taking the panic. I'm looking at the schedule. Just I don't know, it scares me.
Hey,
a
you
little
got to
bit.
remember,
So,
Calvin Ridley might not be playing this week.
that's okay. That is totally okay. They'll still lose.
All right.
It doesn't
All
matter. So
All right. All right. We're gonna go to Sonny. Give me one player that you are panicked or not panicked about.
I mean, it's got to be Jonathan Taylor, right? I mean, we were in panic mode last week, and again, it's like, I mean, Nate, you said it. You dropped him. I mean, I'd have no. If you needed to win, you needed a running back to start. You know, you don't need Jonathan Taylor. And the other thing, you can hold out hope for as long as you want. I mean, I know the Colts spent a second round pick on him, but I mean, this is a team that wants to win now. I mean, they traded a first rounder for Buckner. They're paying Rivers money for this year. I mean, they don't care about the rookie learning. They're just going to play whoever has the hot hand. And after Nyheim Hines, you know, I don't know why they wouldn't make him get a featured role. I mean, he looked like the best runner. He's the best receiving back on the team. And they even tried giving Jonathan Taylor goal line touches to let him score. Couldn't do it. Tried Wilkins, couldn't do it. They put Hines in again, and he capitalizes once again. So I really think there's a real shot that Hines just takes over this backfield. And I mean, if your trade deadline's open, I would straight up just trade Taylor for Hines 1-for-1 if I could do it. Because, I mean, Hines just looks like the man, and I don't know what's wrong with Taylor, but, I mean, I'm panicked.
Do you think that it's less stressful now knowing who's going to get most of the shares in the Colts, running back group? Because the previous weeks I was like, oh, I don't know who to start, but has it been cut clear Hines is going to be the guy heading into it?
I mean, as much as I want to say yes, I still can't with certainty. I think we still need to see one more week. I mean, like someone like Kalen Ballage, for example, I'd feel more comfortable playing over Hines because I know he's going to get the role. And Reich's using this hot hand approach, but I mean, I think Hines has a shot, and I would be. I mean, if you have a fab league, I would spend all the fab that I have because he could be a league winner. We just don't know yet. So I mean, on the possibility, I think there's a real shot, and I mean, he looks the best. So we'll see.
All right, yeah, no, that's definitely a good guy to consider. I've already released Jonathan Taylor. I traded him this past week, listening to all your guys' advice, and I'm really a big fan of Hines. So. That's a good pick right there. Mike, who is your guy that you would panic about or not panic about?
All right, well, I'm going to give you guys a threefer here, and it's all the Ravens running backs. You like if you have one, say you drafted one, you are so mad because like maybe you took Ingram in the 3rd round or the 2nd round, or maybe you thought Dobbins was going to be great, so you drafted him in the 5th round, and it turns out Gus Edwards is like the one that you should have been starting anyway. But like, all right, I'll read you some proof here. All right, here are my stats. Mark Ingram, he's played in 7 games, and in 5 of those games, he has 5 points or less. In the last 2 games, he's averaging 6 touches a game, and he's done nothing with them. J.K. Dobbins, 20 touches in the last 2 games, and that's a net of 7 points on those 20 touches. And he's averaging 2.6 yards a carry. That's Dobbins. Gus Edwards, in the ridiculous fashion that is the NFL, is the one that you would want. He has 8+ points 4 weeks in a row, and he averages in those 4 games, he's averaging 10+ touches, but he doesn't have a game over 14 points. So, and he's the one, like, he's probably playing the best right now, but he's the one that no one wants to get the touches anyway. So just, if you have any of them,
huge. I didn't realize how big of a back he is.
He's quick too, and I don't want any part of that. I don't want any part of it. And it's hard if you have them too, because the setup down the stretch, the last 3 games is actually pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Are you just saying the running back? Because if I had a panic meter, I would say the Ravens offense right now. Marquise Brown.
I agree. Oh, he's droppable. He's gone. You cannot keep him on your roster. Why would you keep him?
That's a shame. Oh, man. I remember talking about him in the draft where I'm like, oh, man, he's available. I'm grabbing him. And now it's like,
Nate,
Yeah.
you don't have to blame yourself. I feel like a lot of people are really high in this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not him. It's not even him. It's Lamar Jackson. I mean, it's
There
one
was-
thing to
there
get
was-
targets, but
There was people actually, and I heard it myself, higher on Marquise Brown than Terry McLaurin during the entire draft. I've heard that myself, and I was, I believe that you have, Lamar Jackson as your quarterback, but when you lose to Cam Newton, the Patriots,
No, I definitely agree with that. And then Willie Snead is like the leading receiver right now out of the group after the last performance. So that Ravens defense is, I would panic all the way, even on Lamar's side. It's getting scary. And Nick Boyle now, one of their best blocking tight ends. That's going to hurt the running game.
It was just like yesterday when Mike was like, he's like a quarterback plus, and now Mike's like, he's a quarterback minus right now.
But what's going on? I don't understand.
He can't get the legs moving. I mean, he can't get his receivers to get going. They can't find their backfield that can't. They have at least three solid running backs that can get a go from. They can't do it. I mean, it's a nightmare. And for people being like, oh well, look what they played in. They played in gusty weather. Well, so did Cam Newton with his amazing wide receiver collection.
Bad though, man. It was bad at the end.
It was definitely a monsoon. No doubt. Yeah. But I mean, Cam Newton had to do it too, and look who won that game. I mean,
no, I agree with you. All right, I guess I'll get to my guy, and I hate saying this because I drafted him with so much potential, but I'm panicking on Robbie Anderson for a PPR league. Wouldn't necessarily, for a standard league. Wouldn't necessarily be worried about him in a PPR league because he does do so well getting the targets and receptions. But if you have him in a standard league, he's not doing so well right now. He only has a touchdown since week 1. So if you want that touchdown upside, he's not getting it. He's also facing Green Bay, Washington, and the Saints, who are actually pretty good at stopping wide receivers when it comes to fantasy points. So I'm worried about him. I hope he does something. I started him with confidence this week against the Bucs that he would do something, and he didn't. So I'm starting to panic on Robbie Anderson. So this is where that bet with Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore gets really interesting towards the stretch because this is a close bet. And I'm excited to see how it plays out when we go further into, Thanksgiving weekend and stuff. So
yeah, well, Joe, I think it's an important thing to talk about. If Teddy Bridgewater doesn't play, I know he's dealing with his knee, like a sprain or something. I really think it hurts Robbie Anderson's value even more because say what you will, Teddy has a connection with Robbie Anderson. I mean, he loves throwing to him, and he's always looking at him. He's the primary read. But, I mean, I think if PJ Walker, whoever plays, I mean, we know Teddy likes to check down, but I really think that would hurt Robbie Anderson's value even more. So I think Robbie Anderson's safe in a PPR league if Teddy Bridgewater's at quarterback. But if not, I mean, I don't know how you can feel comfortable with the uncertainty with the new quarterback.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you. And then it's also Curtis Samuel's making this move into the offense. And Rue, he really likes what he's doing in the running back side of it. And he's also running sweeps. And it's kind of taken away from Robbie Anderson's target share. And now with Christian McCaffrey, once he comes back, is that going to help Robbie Anderson or is that going to hurt him? Because technically when Christian McCaffrey was playing, Robbie Anderson was playing better. So maybe when Christian McCaffrey comes back, Robbie Anderson could do something, especially when Bridgewater's healthy. So it's definitely something to spot. Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about if the backup PJ Walker goes in, that's who Robbie Anderson's college quarterback was, right? They have a connection. So I would be just as confident. And when we, if we're talking about guys we're not panicked in, is Robbie Anderson. So
that is a good point to bring up. Actually, I did forget about that. I do think DJ Moore's value goes up a little bit with the PJ Walker because I did see him a little bit in the XFL, and he takes more shots downfield, and they've had DJ Moore running these deep routes. So maybe the offense gets better. I mean, it's already a pretty good offense, but that is a good point to bring up. So who knows? Maybe both their values go up. We'll see.
I'm really interested to see how your guys' bet plays out because it's getting close, and these guys are both excellent receivers. Just bad timing, in some games or not. All right, so our third topic that we're going to get to is the best and the worst schedule for players from week 11 to 13. So the reason I'm doing this topic is because these are the games before the playoffs. So just kind of setting your lineups. Say if you're, like a 6-4 team right now and you got to make it to the playoffs, or even a 5-5 team, these are the players you want starting so you can, make that push into the playoffs. So we're going to start off with Mike. Give me someone you think has the best schedule from weeks 11 to 13.
And it's tough because for both of mine, it's not necessarily guys that you wouldn't be starting necessarily anyway, unless you have a deep team or you're doing it right. But both Vikings receivers, Thielen and Jefferson, they go against Dallas, Carolina, and Jacksonville in those next 3 weeks. All those teams are playing in high-scoring games. Maybe not Jacksonville high-scoring, but Jacksonville gives up a lot of points to wide receivers. So that's my guys. Those are my guys, Thielen and Jefferson. It's a nice schedule. If you have either of them, you're probably starting them every week anyway, though.
Yeah, I agree with that. How did you feel about that with the game last night? Like, you really needed Thielen, and he
oh my god! Here's all right,
up for you.
For everybody listening. I needed Adam Thielen to beat Dalvin Cook, but I also had 24 points. So Dalvin Cook had like 40 plus the back-to-back weeks, so it was crazy. But he did it for me. He got the dub from a squad in the ITH league.
That was a really nice. I was just watching. I'm like, wow, this really played out well for Mike because Thielen just got both touchdowns, and Dalvin Cook got stopped at the line a lot. Like, their defensive line for the Bears did an excellent job stopping, so that worked out.
Even if Thielen did nothing, Dalvin Cook also did nothing, so I was pretty safe there.
That is true. That gives you hope, though, for Thielen moving forward because
I benched Tom Brady for Justin Herbert, like we're talking about that I should do next week, and Tom Brady had 41 and Justin Herbert had 24. So I don't know if people are in similar situations, but that one almost boned me.
Yeah, I feel like you've had situation problems with like starting Tom Brady and Herbert.
Yeah,
the whole
I
entire
always
season.
pick the wrong one. I pick the wrong one every week. Yet but I mean, both of their floors are very high. So even though picking the wrong one, I'm generally doing okay.
Yeah, no, but I definitely like that. And Nate, as you missed, Mike is saying that he would want to start both wide receivers for the Vikings from week 11 to 13.
Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen?
Yeah, he thinks they have really good matchups coming up, so that is his best schedule for the next
who's their upcoming matchup? Who do they play?
Dallas, Carolina, and Jacksonville.
Perfect.
And also, like, if they're in Minnesota, right? Like, you're in Minnesota, you're in a dome. If you're in Dallas, Carolina, or Jacksonville, you're not going to be cold.
Speaking about feeling, what a catch by him! You guys see that touchdown catch he made?
Yeah,
unreal.
That's good.
They'll be better when they get a new quarterback. I can definitely say that with a fair heart.
All right, Sonny, give me your best or worst schedule player that you have coming up for weeks 11 to 13.
Yeah, I mean, we want to talk about someone not to panic about. It's Michael Thomas. I mean, first off, his value can't get any lower. And I mean, I think we're forgetting that Winston was a top 5 quarterback last year, led the league in passing yards. And I mean, now he's got Atlanta twice. So those are 2 smash spots for Michael Thomas. I still think he's a top 10 wide receiver in the league. I would feel great about putting him in my lineup. Don't even debate it. Put him in there. And he's got Atlanta, Denver, and Atlanta again. So, I think he's about to reassert himself.
Turns out you don't have to throw against Denver, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
How do you feel about them, like, with the Raiders in the playoffs?
I mean, Derek Carr didn't have I don't think he had over 150 yards passing, and he didn't throw any touchdowns, and the game was over, by the fourth quarter. That was
Denver.
But I mean, the Raiders' offensive line is gigantic, and their running backs played pretty well. But Denver not stopping any runs.
I agree with that. Sonny, did you have any other players that you want to mention before we get to me and Nate?
So yeah, actually, someone that's a tough schedule for 11 through 13. What about Aaron Jones? So he's actually got the Colts, the Bears, and the Eagles. So I mean, I'm not worried about Aaron Jones, but I mean, Jamal Williams. First off, I would play Jamal Williams over Jonathan Taylor, if anyone was wondering. That's another guy that I would play over Taylor. But either way, we saw them split the backfield a lot more, and they've been sort of having this committee approach. So I mean, if you're desperate, 11 through 13 might not be the best matchups for Aaron Jones. But I mean, just something to keep an eye on. So I would temper expectations. You still play him every week, but something to watch out.
That was I was going to say Aaron Rodgers for a tough week because against quarterbacks, Indianapolis, the least amount of points, and Chicago, the fourth, least amount of points to quarterbacks. Those are tough matchups. Yeah. And then Philly, you're not going to have to score a lot of points against them. So,
but they got a good run defense there. So that's something.
That is true.
Who are we talking to? Is there a Philly fan here? I didn't know there's a Philly fan in here.
All right, hop on the cards.
I'm going to go with my best scheduled player, and I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift. And I'm extending this just 1 week into the playoffs to week 14, but he's playing Carolina, Houston, Chicago. That might be some problems, but then Green Bay, which is a playoff week. So Carolina, Houston. Carolina ranks 29th in fantasy points for running backs, so they are terrible at guarding running backs. And then Houston ranks 31st in fantasy points against running backs. And now DeAndre Swift, he's the guy. He put up 26 points against the Redskins, who have a mediocre team at guarding the run. So I think DeAndre Swift can make a huge push. And then in the playoff week, the Packers rank 30th in fantasy points against running backs. So all these teams are terrible at guarding running backs when it comes to fantasy points. So DeAndre Swift could be a good guy that you want to be starting for this late stretch into the season. But that is my guy. We're going to give it to Nate for a best or worst scheduled player.
I'm going to have to go with my man, Nick Chubb, with a great schedule. I think he's got it going. He came into this week, again, starting off in a monsoon game we all saw, but it seems like the Cleveland Browns get better as well as the record when Nick Chubb comes back or when he plays. Chubb is healthy and ready. He's playing, I think, some high school team named the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not too sure. But he's going against them, and he's going to have one hell of a week. Let me tell you this right now. His upcoming schedule isn't looking too bad. I'm looking at it right now. So, Chubb and they're going against the Baltimore Ravens at least one more time. And we all know how it went the first time, how the Ravens crushed them. But are we starting to see maybe the Ravens' true colors? I don't know. I don't know if Chubb can do what he did when he was very healthy in the beginning of the weeks, and what he's probably going to do against the Eagles, and what he did against Houston, despite the low-scoring game. I don't know. I think it's going to be a tough matchup, but I definitely would go with Chubb. Confident with that one.
Chubb made a lot of Las Vegas bettors pretty upset.
We don't talk about that, though. We don't talk about that. We don't talk.
That was so smart because guess what? That's what Todd Gurley didn't do. So that was a really smart play by Chubb, and I'm proud of him doing that.
It reminded me, if I'm not mistaken, it was a Sean McCoy, like 2013. Reminded me exactly the same play. I think it was I think it was the Snow Bowl, that big Snow Bowl against Detroit.
Yep.
That was a great game, but I was like, no. I was like, what are you doing?
Well, Sean McCoy, man, the snow games, he's crushing the snow game. Do you remember on the Bills, he did the same thing with the snow?
He works better in cold weather. That's why I was like, why are you going to Tampa? I was like, come to Philly.
In the snow, man, he I don't know. He must have the right shoes, and nobody else has them.
I'm just saying. So true. I think he runs better in cold weather. He plays better in cold weather. Weather. I mean, it proves it. Buffalo, he did pretty good in Buffalo, and Philly obviously was the highlight of his career. But despite that, no, Nick Chubb is looking like a monster, and this guy makes the entire team better.
Yeah, I agree with you. So we can't do Discord questions for today's episode, but I do want to get to Sonny's trade that he made. And before that, let me just give you a little background info that I believe he acquired Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown. Now, when we're looking at the best and worst schedule, right now Derrick Henry coming up has a terrible schedule for weeks 11 through 13. But then after that, he has a great schedule. I believe he plays the Jags twice. And he has a really good playoff schedule. So I'm going to lead it to Sonny on the trade that he made. It's a massive trade. I just wanted him to talk about it. So I'll give it to you, Sonny.
Yeah, so I want you guys to critique me and see how I did. So first off, we traded DJ Moore, my boy. I know. I traded DJ Moore, Duke Johnson, and David Montgomery and I got AJ Brown. So that was the first trade that I did. And mind you, my trade deadline was last night at midnight, so I was making all these moves.
Who are your other running backs that you could trade 2 guys?
So my other running backs, I have J.D. McKissick, and I have Raheem Mostert when he comes off the bye, and now I acquired Derrick Henry. So this is a 14-team, 3 wide receiver, 1 flex, and I'll read you my starting lineup after.
Did you know? Did you know you were going to get Derrick Henry before you made that other trade? Before you gave up?
No, I didn't. So when I did this,
so you could have just ended up with those 2 guys. So McKissick and Mostert.
No. So I had McKissick and I had Mostert on my team. And then, so I trade. Okay, so the first trade that I did completely has nothing to do with the Henry. I just wanted to upgrade a receiver. So DJ Moore, Duke Johnson, and David Montgomery. So I traded all those 3 guys to upgrade a receiver. I got AJ Brown. That's one thing. Keep that in mind. I know it's complicated. The next trade that I did, Terry McLaurin and Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Derrick Henry. And So my starting lineup now, once everything's done, we got Deshaun Watson at quarterback, Derrick Henry at running back, Raheem Mostert off the bye as my other running back, and then the 3 wide receivers, we got Amari Cooper, AJ Brown, Deontay Johnson, and then for the flex, it's going to be a toss-up between Antonio Brown or J.D. McKissick, and then I got Hockenson at tight end. So what do you guys think about that deal?
That's a 14-team league.
14-team, 3 wide receiver, 1 flex.
Yeah, so I think that sounds about right for like a 14-team league.
Yeah, I agree with that. So do you really think there's upside with AJ Brown coming up because he played? Well, I'm not gonna say he played bad. He just never got the ball. There was no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all in on the Titans' offense. I mean, clearly getting Derrick Henry and AJ Brown. It's just, I mean, we got to remember that he would have had, a 75-yard touchdown if he hauls that in. And then, we wouldn't even be talking about this. So, again, he's someone you should definitely not panic about. He was 1 play away from being a top performer this week. And, I mean, Derrick Henry, as the season progresses, he only gets stronger. You just keep feeding Henry. And then on top of that, Baltimore, are we even sure that Baltimore's a tough matchup? So they're missing Calais Campbell. And we thought Damian Harris rushed for over 120 yards, and now they get Derrick Henry. You're telling me they're going to be able to stop Derrick Henry. So, I'm someone that loves to be top heavy. So, yeah.
And isn't Marcus Peters? Did he just get injured too?
Yep. Well, I don't know about his status, but yeah.
In the beginning of the year, when we can. Me and Joe were talking about this way before I didn't think we went live. We were all talking about how I chose Derrick Henry to be a top running back in the league. And I was laughed at.
I didn't laugh at you.
For weeks. For Mike Alec, weeks.
Okay.
Weeks.
I probably did laugh, yeah.
I know you did. Oh, it was a certainty. It was like, who would you draft? And I was like, Derrick Henry. And it was like, Derrick Henry. And I was like, well, he's a beast. Wow, look at all these other running backs. You have Alvin Kamara, you have Zeke, you have Saquon. Despite Saquon's injuries, so obviously can't control that. But, all these other great running backs, Chubb, of course. But Derrick Henry, in and out every single week. So you gaining him made me a happy man hearing that. I love Derrick Henry. Absolutely. I think he's, if not the best running back in the NFL right now. The guy is absolutely insane.
Oh. Yeah, I definitely agree with you.
Yeah, the way I see it, it's like I see all these people with so much depth on their bench, and it's like, why are you not trading and upgrading? I'm a risk taker. I get all that with this season having depth and everything, but now we're getting to the playoffs. Again, my trade deadline was last night at midnight. Everyone was sitting around. I went out there. I took my shot. I'm happy with the way it turned out. Maybe I'm risking my depth, but I'll take it. So,
for both of our sakes, I hope that Derrick Henry and AJ Brown do pretty well because I'm counting on AJ Brown in Dynasty right now, and I really hope he turns out. But I like it. It's risky, but it's a good trade, and I hope that Derrick Henry can play pretty well against the Colts, Browns, and Ravens coming up in these weeks. If he does pretty well there, then he's going to finish off strong in the playoffs because he's playing the Jags twice, and he's going to score over 20 points. So, I definitely agree with you. That is all that we have for today. Great episode. I think we got a lot of good, statistics and facts in there about who to pick for these next 3 weeks. But that's all that we have for today. Listen to us on Facebook and YouTube. Also follow us on Inside the Hashes. Check out our Insta and Twitter accounts at Inside Hashes. Also check out our website, Aired Out and RPO. We'll see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. We're going to do a special for Thanksgiving. We might do a little draft for the Thanksgiving game, so it's going to be pretty interesting. We'll see you next Tuesday, and stay safe out there. See you guys later.
Bye.